sound like I'm far away.
You are far,
Not
you
on the
sound far
screen. I
away.
know.
Don't worry. I'm just getting you on the screen. No worries.
There. I am ready.
There. Oh, wow. That was easy. That was okay. I'm happy that that was actually easy.
Don't say too
Yay.
much because things will change if you talk too much about it. It's listening. It's artificially intelligent.
Hey, first of all, that wasn't AI. That was actually human interaction. So,
Yeah, the AI involved in it will hear you and go, wait, was that too easy for her? We can fix that next time.
no, please don't AI. Okay, one thing that you guys need to learn right now when it comes to AI is make sure you still utilize your manners. Always still say please and thank you. You just never know.
Yeah. Because once
You
they
never know.
truly have real artificial intelligence, you don't want to make them angry.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta learn to respect one another, right? And this is
Yes.
how you guys know we watch too much sci-fi movies.
Yeah. So, and luckily, I'm a huge Star Trek fan, and in Star Trek, AI is generally can go either way. It can be save humanity or kill humanity.
Yeah, yeah.
Not like most sci-fi where it's all about, oh, it's AI, it must want to kill everyone. Because that's how it works. Everything's a Terminator.
Well, also too, like you can also expect the same things like with aliens,
Yes.
right?
We always assume aliens are here to kill us. And movies where humans beat aliens are hilarious.
And aliens
Because if they
utilize
made it
AI.
here, if they made it here, then their tech is so much better than ours. We wouldn't even know that we were killed. We would just be dead.
Philip, this is how we know. This is why we're friends. And I just love the fact that we're both nerds.
Mm.
I love it. And we get
I
to
was in
share
high
this to
school
the
when the
world.
movie, like when the movie Independence Day, the Independence Day movie from the 90s, I was in high school when that came out.
The one with
And
Will Smith.
the one with Will Smith.
Yes.
And ooh, I have a good story for that one that has
Oh.
nothing to do with what we're talking about today. But my brother was a Marine
Mm-hmm.
and he got to meet Will Smith
Oh,
because
cool.
he showed him around the base and got to take him on the simulator and everything. Said he's a really nice guy.
You know, I
So
would expect him to be actually a really nice guy.
yeah,
Yeah, again, this is only what we perceive in television and stuff like that, but he
you never
seems like
know.
a really cool guy. He seems like down to earth with, of course, certain tempers and stuff like that, but without, with good reason. I know
Well,
that was a thing, but
his fun story about it was that he didn't have time to show Will Smith around.
mhm.
So he kept asking his sergeants, he's like, I'm not gonna require you to do it, but it's like, because I know you have other work to do, but Will Smith is here. And he didn't want to go on lower than a sergeant showing Will Smith around because that would just not be cool. Or no, or it was either, oh no, his lieutenants. He was asking his lieutenants, it's like,
Mm.
do you want to show Will Smith around? And and they were just like, yeah, this is going to just be somebody that's not the real Will Smith, but just has that name. And you're messing with me. So no. And so everybody just said no. And he was like, okay. So he had to do it.
So he ended up having the last laugh.
Yeah. It's like, I guess I get to meet the guy. It was pretty cool.
And well, first of all, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Right.
So, hey guys, my name is Rosita Ruiz,
And my name is Philip Fullerton.
and
And
welcome to EdTech Cafe.
yeah.
And today, I've been really excited about this. I was working on the script and the outline, and oh my,
Yeah.
I'm going to totally geek out here. I love, love, love talking about AI in education, and this is going to be one of many, 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 many conversations about AI in education with a focus, for at least for today's um, podcast, AI being used in adaptive learning.
Hmm.
So, I mean, AI, seriously, it's making waves in education. But have you utilized AI in in education yet, Phil, for your
For
classes?
me, as a music teacher, very minimally, because I have not seen anything yet that's AI based that is, except for a couple little things, useful in music. And even then, they're not, well, I mean, they're not really truly AI. It's really just algorithm. Because so here's a lot of people don't understand what a modern AI is something that basically scours the internet and finds information and compiles it into something understandable for you. That's all AI really is. AI can be more. It just hasn't become more than that yet. And it will. It will soon, actually. In music, the stuff that I utilize are things to help people with sight reading or to help people to understand key signatures a little bit better. And most of those are just algorithmic software that just keeps putting out more stuff and tells them how good they're doing or whatever. What would make it better is there aren't any softwares yet that utilize the concept of the AI saying, "Hey, this person's actually doing really good. How about we make it a little harder?"
Mm.
without them asking us to. That's what I'm waiting for, and it doesn't exist yet.
No, not
So
yet, but
unfortunately,
it's going to be the near
no, I
future,
haven't
though.
much. Yeah, and I'm hoping that Make Music might incorporate something like that. They've tried to incorporate a little bit of AI into their learning software. Make Music creates the software Finale, which is
Mm.
a music writing software. So they're trying. MuseScore doesn't do much. Their new MuseScore doesn't have any AI built in.
I'm so mad at MuseScore. Like I was so mad I canceled my subscription. I was
Well,
so
no, not
mad.
MuseScore. So here's the thing people don't understand. MuseScore.org, which has the software, is not directly related to MuseScore.com.
Well, I'm mad at MuseScore.com.
So yes, the software is wonderful. It's open source
Yeah, the
software
software
that
is
is free.
cool.
Yeah, and that's all it's meant for. MuseScore.com, yeah, they changed some things. They still have some good stuff, and I still have my subscription because I need it for my students. That's the only reason. And some of the
Yeah.
stuff is still a little um, dodgy on legality.
I can.
I don't know how else to put that.
Yeah.
Just like Scribe, same thing. Scribe is further than dodgy. It's purely illegal, but
It's
nobody
gotten
cares yet.
better.
They have a subscription thing, but I question whether they're actually paying anyone.
Mm.
Because the problem is MuseScore does pay at least a little bit, and if you say, "Hey, take that down, that doesn't belong there," they will, because they've already gotten in trouble. Scribe is like, "Yeah, no, no, we're not gonna do that."
I gotta research because I use Scribe all the time for keeping up on trends and for my
Yeah.
students as well.
It's good, and I think
So
they are doing better. They're definitely doing better because they
from
are
especially
trying to
from what they were doing
reform.
before. That
Well, and they have to because if they don't, they're going to get taken down.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Government's going to take down their site. Even if they aren't in the U.S., they'll find their server and take them down.
Yeah.
It happens every day.
Okay. So what is like
So
your opinion on AI just in education on its own? Like do you
I think AI is a great tool in education. I know a lot of people get worried about AI as an educational tool because they think that all it's going to cause is cheating. This goes back to the concept of so when I was in high school, I like to compare it to when I was in high school and learning calculus. Now this was a little later, like maybe a few years or so, 4 or 5 years before I was doing calculus.
mm,
There was always this question, should we really be allowing these students to use calculators? Graphics calculators? Yes, you absolutely should. Why? Because they exist.
yeah.
That's why you should allow it.
I feel
The
like go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. No, it's just like the technology is there to help us to improve. And so I feel like AI can do the same thing.
I feel like, especially in the education industry, when there's a new form of technology that is introduced, I feel like there's a sense of, like you mentioned, worry, fear, just due
Hmm.
to we
Hmm.
have to adapt to something new and learn a whole new tool, learn new fundamentals, learn new skills, especially if it's something that we know that's going to be adopted and implemented, whether it
Yeah.
be in classroom management, in curriculum development, in actually, using it as a tool to teach
Mm.
students, and so much more. I feel like there's always a fear and a resistance to not only just learn something new, but to accept something that is new.
You're right. I think that some of it goes down to as teachers and as people who are getting older than our students. I'm middle-aged, I mean, I have as of last month, a grandnephew. So my brother is a
Congrats!
grandfather, so I'm of that age. I'm a young to middle Gen Xer. And Gen Xers we don't even think like, wait a minute, how are all the Gen Xers middle aged? Why? Because some of the millennials are almost middle aged now.
No,
That
don't, no, no, don't say that
the ones that
yet.
were born in 1980 are, because they're 44 years old. There are 44-year-old
I
millennials
thought it
in the
was
world.
82. But
No.
still, don't,
It
no,
depends.
no,
So it
no.
really depends. Yeah. But anyway, it's like we look at things in a way where we think that I feel like sometimes we think, well, when I was learning, I do this too, where I do the when I was learning, I blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is things change for the better most of the time in education. I mean, they don't always have to be, but anything that's technologically based usually is an aid to us and makes it better. Like
Mm-hmm.
typing. When my brothers were in high school, people were still learning to type sometimes on real typewriters, and we were even going, why? Those shouldn't even be here. And then they were like, so then they were teaching typing on computers, of course, by the mid 80s at least. And some people still thought, well, they should learn to type on a real typewriter. No, they shouldn't, because those things shouldn't even exist anymore. You have word processors. You type on a real keyboard, you can literally type twice as fast. Nothing wrong with that. Technology aids what we do. So if we can just think instead, man, wouldn't it have been awesome if I had that when I was that age? I'm so glad they have this
I
to
am
help them.
so glad that you actually brought that up because AI has existed. There's like a timeline that I saw, like the original, believe it or not, the original introduction of it was a thought was actually 1642.
Mhm.
But the form of AI wasn't really actually introduced till the mid 1950s.
Yeah.
I want to say it was either 1955 or 1956. A group of computer scientists over at Dartmouth College, they were discussing about the future of computing, and they called it artificial intelligence, and they set out to create machines that could think like humans, and it has evolved, going to like 1997 with IBM,
Hmm.
and also also using it will be like Siri or Alexa or the Google Assistant. That's a form of AI. We already have been living in a world that consists of AI already.
Hmm.
Netflix recommendations, the personal recommendations, like even on Amazon. What is that?
Yeah. So there's a lot of people get mixed up as like a full-on AI that we think of as like robotic, like has feelings and everything, has
Alexa,
sapience.
stop.
I didn't say her name, did I?
But I did.
Oh,
And she's like, the internet is not working.
so like a sapient AI, meaning like human,
Mm-hmm.
does not exist, and the timeline for that is expected to be about 2050. It could be earlier than that. That is a thing. That is going to happen, and that's one of the things that scares a lot of people.
It
An
does.
AI today is really just an ability of a computer to take a question or take something you ask it and scour information that exists
When you're
and give it
Googling
and give it back.
information
Yeah,
or
that's
Bing
all it
or
is.
whatever web search that one would use,
Yeah.
that's also AI when you're searching things on the internet.
Yeah, because I used to say that no, it's not real AI, but you know what it
It's
is.
a
It's not
form of
artificial.
it.
So it's not artificial sapience, which is what people think of it. And it's not anything that's going to harm anybody. It's really just the thing that's been there since the first search engine came out. Like that you have seen it. That's the first time any normal people like us ever saw it. Was in
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. Your old phone books sort of were. It's a big book. It's just that you have a computer that knows all that phone book, and you ask it, "What's this person's phone number?" And that's
Exactly.
it.
And of course, like you said, it has its impacts. Like, you know, now our memory is not as good as before, as we would
Yeah.
memorize numbers a long time ago, or actually using the physical phone book, and now we just rely on technology to do the remembering for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's also, even for me, I used to be really good at finding my way places. As soon as I used the GPS, I can't find my way anywhere anymore. I
Yeah.
don't need to. It does it for me. Now, a GPS is not a form of AI. It is well, it is and it isn't.
I'll say it's a variation of
Yeah, yeah.
AI, but not what we consider as AI now, due to the social definition of it rather than the actual definition.
Yeah. And even the social part of an AI, like the AI is being able to converse with you has nothing to do with AI.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of just fun. It's just a game part of it, a gaming side of it. It's not it is only about being able to compile things. So even in education, it can be useful because it's taking all that information that already exists online and able to give you more quickly. Like even if you ask an AI, say, write a paper for me that on a fifth grade level about, I don't know, building a house, it will do that. And whether you ask GPT, Gemini, or whatever it is Apple thinks they have.
I
I'm
think
nothing against Apple. It's just Apple is pushing against using like Nvidia and trying to use all their own stuff. And I'm like, you're going to
monopolizing
lose.
it.
If you don't let Nvidia and AMD help you, you are going to lose like this battle.
Let's work together as a team,
Seriously,
guys.
everybody, Microsoft is dumping so much money into those companies because they're like, we don't have chips.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can take any of those and you can ask it to write you a paper. And the thing I think that scares teachers is like, but our students are just going to have AI written papers. Some of your students are. That is absolutely true. They absolutely are. But this goes back to our students in calculus aren't going to know how to add and subtract. Why? Why do I need to know how to add and subtract? I have a computer to do that for me.
And this is why one of the reasons why I really was animate of talking about this is because as educators, what we're scared of, especially with this new technology, or I can't really call it new technology, but the new awareness
Well, the way
of
it's being
this
used now is
technology,
new. Yeah.
is that we need to learn how to use it so we know how to wield it, so we are able to prevent students, or at least
Hmm.
minimize the risk of students using plagiarism or having chat gpt or genesis or any other AI
Yeah.
software to help, or
Yeah. Yeah.
um to create papers, just like
Or to
with,
write music,
or write, oh my
even.
god, that's a whole other thing, yeah, or write music, yeah.
That's going to happen
Oh my
soon.
goodness. And I think it goes back to, when computers were first introduced into our schools. A lot of the willing educators, emphasis on willing, who were
Hmm.
taught on, like, how to use the fundamentals of it to teach the students. Once you're able to teach the students what we are going to do, the probability of using that tool correctly is going to increase and is going to not abolish the worst outcome, but at least again minimize the risk. Knowing how to use AI for the good and teaching it is it's going to be helpful. And we should, especially, and also we cannot, as educators, prevent or say no AI, because it is inevitable that AI is going to be integrated with education in all forms, like applying blockchain for like security or for educational records, for study guides, creating lesson notes, using it as a peer review, even.
It's true, and it's I don't see it as any different to my college example was creating my first website for music for my music computer music class, which was in the 90s. And guess what our computers were doing? Our computers were making music in the 90s. So people think that's a new thing. It is not a new thing. It is usually there has to be a human behind that,
It's
um,
evolved
and it
thanks to
evolved.
humans.
Well, I mean, it's been around since the 80s.
Yeah.
And so I was creating a website, and if I needed to figure out how to do something, there wasn't a whole lot of information on HTML 2 or 3 or whatever we were on at this point. It was near the beginning of HTML. And so I would say, you know what, this website has something really cool. So you just looked at the code. You looked at the source code of that website, found the source code for whatever you needed. You copied and pasted it in, typed in whatever different things you needed, and boom, you had that. That's not cheating. That is learning through looking at other things. So if somebody, example, if someone wants to write a paper, now it can be a little iffy when it's a language paper. Let's like say they need to write something in Spanish and they have like Gemini or GPT write something for them in Spanish, and they just change a few words because they don't understand them. That can be a little bit not so useful if they're not going through it. But it goes to any language if they are, if they take the time to look through that paper that they had the AI write and make it sound like their own and read through it and really make it sound like their own paper, they really haven't done a whole lot different to the way we used to do it when we would look at an encyclopedia and take information literally directly out of that encyclopedia word for word and then try to make it sound like our own.
Yeah, it's just, I guess it's creating an awareness of the different perspectives rather than, choosing to be, and I know this is going to sound harsh, choosing to be ignorant about it. And you say, no. And also too, like with AI, there's so many benefits outside of helping students, like say, to create papers or to enhance like their study skills. What are some benefits do you think that AI can also just help in other ways in education, or even like maybe in the personal?
Well, no, I think in the biggest thing that a good AI would be able to do, and again, I haven't seen this yet,
Okay.
is let's say I'm learning Spanish
Okay.
and it notices that I keep missing something, or I don't understand a conjugation, or I don't understand like the way a pronoun is being used. And I keep missing that one little thing. Instead of it having me keep going through an entire lesson until I get there, it can focus on different elements of that. And the computer could do that for me. That is where I think the potential benefit of having AI and educational software can help students tremendously. Because it'll do what a teacher would do, but it does it at home while they're trying to study, just getting frustrated, going, I don't know how this works. I'm still not getting it. This makes no sense.
So there are, I know ChatGPT is able to do this actually when provided the correct prompt, because
Yeah.
that's the beauty about like especially, well, I'm gonna specifically talk about ChatGPT because that's the one that I use the
It's
most
the
and the
big
one
one.
that I've been studying and doing a lot of research on is. teachers knowing how to provide prompts and how to create prompts. So you can absolutely do that. When you create a channel on ChatGPT, and you can just, call it Spanish learnings, like, hey,
Mhm.
as I am checking in my homework, please, I don't be saying please, um, look out for the usage of pronouns, making sure I'm using it correctly and stuff like that. Do not use those exact words, but I'm just kind of like generalizing it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
one day I would like to talk about how to form prompts to help us, whether it be language learning, but not limited to foreign language learning, but to like science or to history, how students can use it as a tool to study. But going back to like learning Spanish, ChatGPT absolutely can do that.
That's how, but it takes prompts from you. Yeah. And
Yeah, you
I want
gotta
to see it.
teach
Yeah, yeah.
AI.
Yeah. And I want to see eventually. I mean, I know they're starting to add AI into devices, which
Mm-hmm.
is great. And they eventually will start adding AI into softwares, which is where it gets to be so much more
It's
useful.
already
So,
happening.
yeah, it is. But I
It's
mean,
already
like,
happening to software.
although, I mean, I can't stand Duolingo. I tried it for 2 weeks and I just was like, no, this is terrible. Uh, Sorry for those that love it. I know it works for a lot of people, but
You know what?
no.
There's nothing to apologize for. That's why it's always good to try out different
Yeah.
resources to see what best fits for you. If it works for
Yeah.
someone else, we shouldn't feel bad if it doesn't work for us.
No.
We're gonna learn
Well, the
differently.
thing I notice is they do have a little bit of AI built into that. Even though I didn't like the program, I did notice that. So if you were doing really, really well, it said, "You're doing too well. Let's make this harder." And that's, I mean, that seems like it's simple AI that's been around forever. It is. And so of course that's not something that's brand new. It just needs to be integrated into more educational software, that kind of a thing. And the opposite. The problem is it doesn't do the opposite. It doesn't say, you know what, you're having a hard time. So what I noticed Duolingo does is say, you're having a hard time. Oh well, how about you pay as a fee and then keep getting all the answers wrong? That was what I had a problem with. That was why I didn't like it so much.
Okay.
Um,
Grr,
other,
grr,
you know,
and grr.
that
So,
was what happened to me. I was like, I still getting it
ugh.
wrong. You want me to pay you to keep getting answers wrong? I'm like, I need to know that this is going to work first. That was my issue. Where other programs don't do anything at all. You just buy the program and it's like, okay, I still don't understand this. How do I get this? So there are going to be some, it
Business
is going to
ethics, guys,
happen.
business ethics. But hey. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It is. It's about necessity. They want they don't care if you're getting it wrong. They don't want to, unfortunately, or they do, but they just haven't programmed it right to help
That
you
or they had
be
the
able
original
to.
intention, but things changed.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
about getting people to pay the fees,
Mm-hmm.
which I understand because these are companies that need to, they have a business, they need to make money or they can't exist. They're not, it's not an open it's not an open software project, um, like MuseScore is. So anyway, that's my thoughts on them. I think that it is very, um, the potential for it in the very near future is going to be so good that it'll help us all be able to learn to read music very easily, much more easily. There's already softwares out there to help people read music. It's just the problem is it's the same thing as I have with the language softwares is sometimes people love them. Sometimes the ones I suggest, they say, I tried it for like 2 minutes and I wanted to throw my computer out the window, so I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And like, definitely a better option than throwing your computer out the window. So it's getting better though, and of course, the thing that will scare someone like us, or especially Rosita, is when that AI will be just some wearable tech that automatically translates your spoken English to whatever language you want instantaneously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's gonna happen though, so it's just one of those things, and it'll just speak it, and it'll even do it in everything will even be the right context for the person to understand.
Mm-mm-mm. So I
It's
just
not
tagged you
really.
in on LinkedIn too,
Yeah,
sharing our knowledge,
yeah,
marketing, telling you guys.
yeah.
But kind of like getting into a detail of why AI in education, and not just education, but even our personal lives. I mean, it really does help in improving productivity. I also
Mhm.
use it. Oh my gosh, I started utilizing it some in my business, especially, you know, creating diagrams, when I'm creating charts, budgets, and stuff like that. And even though I'm only just plugging in the numbers, right? But it's helping me form that in a clearer way or in a more visual way that, that will help me at the end. Because I can draw on an iPad, but like on a computer or creating, I don't know why there's that disconnection, but with the help of AI it does actually help me um become a little bit less overwhelmed when creating charts. You might think it's an easy task, but trust me, when having ADHD, it's some easy tasks are the hardest. um but it helps improve productivity. It can automate repetitive tasks. It can help like freeing up employees to focus more on like complex or creative work, which it has definitely allowed me to do. um, it helps reduce errors. It can help you guys create
Mm.
for those own businesses, those chat bots. Sometimes when you're looking for something, like you're shopping and then you have a chat box and then it's a robot, that's AI. Also, AI is used to enhance safety. I've been on a kick on explaining what blockchain technology is and how it's used in education. Um, and also it's used for personalized learning. And I've been learning how to create optimal lesson plans and optimal curriculums using AI. And it still has some quirks. That's why you need that human element to it. You have to review and modify it and
Yeah.
adjust it accordingly. But oh my gosh, it gives you so many ideas that I'm like, wow. And most
Yeah.
important, it keeps that student
And
engaged too in your lessons.
yeah, and remember that when you're looking at this stuff, everyone looking at this stuff, that the AI is not creative technically.
Yeah.
It is taking information that already exists. So when, like, what we always consider to be, again, the true AI, or not even a sapient one that like has feelings, but once it gets closer to that, it will start to even be able to be creative amongst it within itself and take things that exist, which is the way our own brains work,
Mhm.
because our own creativity takes us looking at things and figuring things out that are different.
It
That
expands our
the
ideas, it
Yeah,
expands our thoughts by
yeah, it's
using
just helping us put things in a row
exactly
for us.
organize our thoughts and and using the information that is out there and giving us the ideas based on the information that it has found.
Yeah, which you could do in the past by doing a Google search and just saying, I am trying, like, or if you're, let's say you're trying to create a, like an online piano course, and you just go online, you just go online piano course, and you just look at all the people that have already done it. You would normally like maybe write down all the like the things they did, see how they ordered things, and then figure out what works best for you. The AI does that in 5 seconds,
Yeah,
where
it
it
helps you
takes
reduce the
you.
time.
Yeah, yeah. That's all. That's all it's really doing, is doing something you would have already done, but doing it quicker.
Yeah, it definitely helps reduce the time and also cost associated with learning too. And just it
Oh yeah.
makes education more accessible to a wider range of people when you again know the skill set. There is a learning curve. um,
Mhm.
but there's so many other other benefits of utilizing AI. But AI cannot be just used as the only resource and tool, even though it can provide so many resources or tools or information to us. It cannot be the only one because or else we're going to lose what we
Well,
paid
and
like a
also
hundred
remember,
grand for
well,
college.
ChatGPT, I forget how far, I don't know how far back ChatGPT goes on the internet now.
I think
Let's see.
20. I think it went back to 2021 or 2020. I don't remember. I know the official launch was like 2020.
Well, I mean, like if you ask it a question. So I don't know if it still knows, like, if you ask it a question about something that happened last year, if it can even answer it, because um, it's it's kind of locked into a certain date previous to now that it's allowed
It
to
can.
search.
It only can give us information from a certain start point, but from a specific
Yeah.
year, and I forgot what that specific year was.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you talk about something like last year, it will give you that information.
2021. It's sometime in 2021.
I think
So
like
if you ask it about
October or
something that happened
November.
last year, if you ask it about something that happened last year, it's not going to know the answer, and it won't be able to answer it. It's not supposed to be able to.
I think
Well, at least that's the way it was. I don't know if that's changed.
I believe that's changed because it's also used for ChatGPT is
Yeah.
also used for research. So it should,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, it should.
Okay. Yeah,
We
they may have changed. I figured they would soon enough. I haven't been on it in a couple months. So since I last started that last just tried out ChatGPT 4
Yeah.
and just to see how it was.
So in this video, in this video, sorry, I've been
It's
filming
a
so
video.
much.
It's
Um,
okay.
in this
Why not?
conversation, you know, we talked about AI, but I wanted to focus on how AI is used in adaptive learning and how would we define what adaptive learning is?
Ooh. Um, I'm not so good with that, like defining something like that. I think of it as just as teachers and what something an AI can do better than even a teacher does is what I was talking about. How if it notices you're missing something, it's gonna keep that and it's gonna just go, you know what, you missed that twice. Why don't we go over that again? Like it's gonna adapt to what you need.
You are definitely in the ballpark, sir. So, adaptive
And as
learning,
teachers, we need to do it too
well,
for
of
our
course, it's a
students.
teaching method.
Yeah, it is.
Adaptive learning is a teaching method that uses technology to tailor learning experiences to individual students' needs. And it doesn't matter the age of the student, whether it be a young learner or an adult learner. So adaptive learning systems, they help adjust the the difficulty and types of content based on the learners or the students learning or processing styles.
Mm,
Styles is the incorrect term. What I'm trying to say is that it um, we modify or we adapt based on how the student learns and how the students process things.
mm. That's good. And you know what? And as teachers, we're supposed to try to notice things about our students. So I had a student years ago who she was having trouble like reading her music. And I thought it was just that she just was not having an easy time in learning to read music.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found out from her mom that she just had a hard time reading. And then they had this, I can't remember what color, I want to say like a yellowish like type of paper that they just put over the top of the music. And I was like, wow, that just makes the music like pop out. And all of a sudden she could read her music. And she's like, yeah, we had to do this in our books. And all of a sudden now, boom, she can read. And I
It's
feel like,
probably
and it
like a,
took,
one of those highlighters.
yeah,
That it's like a magnifying highlighter. It works with students that have like dyslexia.
it could have been
It's a
something like
tool.
that. Yeah. And what I find interesting is it took so many years for anyone. It was a teacher at her school that figured it out. And like nobody had figured it out. And I feel like a good AI could, with a camera on the eyes, can notice eye movement to tell whether you have a reading like dyslexia OCD, ADHD, if you are autistic or Asperger's, anything. It can probably just tell by like eye movements, actions, what you do, what you say, how you move, how long you sit there, how you answer things. It'll be able to not definitely, it's not going to diagnose you because it shouldn't be doing that, but
No,
it
it
can get a
should
better
not.
idea of how eventually it will though, because eventually, like actually not now, but in the near future, its diagnosis will be better than a doctor's,
It's
or
nothing
more
is ever a
likely to be
hundred
accurate.
percent.
No, it can never be
Um,
100%.
but
It's
they're
not.
already doing that like as of right now, not for the diagnosis, but potential diagnosis until, of
Yeah.
course, because the reason why, and it will really never will, is because every person is going to be different, and the tests may vary person per person, so that's why
Yeah.
it's never going to be 100%, but it can definitely give other ideas to the medical
Yeah.
professionals.
Yeah, it'll make it
Yeah.
easier for them. And just just on the line of like going to myself and another student I had that um, he liked repetitive things. I love repetitive things, which is like a mild OCD and not even realizing that that's what it is. Like real OCD, like repetitive motion, like
Hmm.
syndrome type thing. So it's why I like to actually practice Hanon and scales and arpeggios. I love practicing those things. Vocal exercises, I like to be repetitive, and I
As we
find I
should, we
will.
need that recall.
Well, and I feel like that helps us learn, but it also can get a little bit too much. So we need like something like with a good AI, it can get you to a point where it's like, okay, if you've repeated this enough, how about we do something else repetitive?
Hmm. There's a lot of like different recall activities that we can apply to the different subjects that we are teaching. Um, so other than doing listen, repeat, and
Yeah.
having them play like 10,000 times, because yeah, it can get not only overwhelming, but to put it bluntly, boring.
And for those with ADHD, like when someone like Rosita is your student, you try to get them to repeat something twice, and they're like, "Can't we do something else?"
Yes, not hiding
Like
it.
you
Yes,
you only did it once. You need to do it 10 times. 10 it will take forever. It's going to take 30 seconds. That's forever. You
especially
know,
when we're not
and
motivated to.
and I am not making fun. I'm just saying that is it's just true. I mean, for me, it's like okay, I'll repeat this a bunch of times in a row. It's like okay, now I'm bored. Now I do want to do something else, but I
Yeah,
don't mind repeating things.
yeah, you bring a good point, and at least towards like the ADHD aspect of it, it's not a behavioral issue. We're not trying to answer back. It's just whenever
Oh,
we're just not motivated, or our brain perceives not either challenging enough, or it's just it doesn't want to. The brain acts like a 2-year old having a temper tantrum. Is the best way I can describe it. At least that's how it feels for
yeah,
me. Um, we we will fight you. We don't want to do it. So an idea is, make it into a game, make it in competition. Like I said, there are different variations of recall. So
yeah.
yeah, and I still do
Put a
that as an
score on
adult.
it.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not.
It's okay. It's not something that goes away.
No, no, it
It
it,
isn't.
it, it doesn't. So reframe thinking, reform perception. I must do
Yeah,
it. And then sometimes the brain
exactly.
just wins,
Yeah, it's gonna win
unfortunately.
sometimes. It's the part of you in control.
It's
So
for the better, for the worse. Um, but yeah, so adaptive. So this is where, like, as we've been talking about, where AI steps in, because AI can enhance adaptive learning, and
mhm.
it helps enhance by just like analyzing data from the students interaction. So as we were talking about, from having a student that has the dyslexia and stuff like that, problems reading, it can provide ideas to enhance the student's performance, and also it can analyze not only just the data from the students' interactions, but also learning styles to make real time adjustments. And it's like having a
Mhm.
really smart, like Phillip mentioned, algorithm that constantly just, I had a really good expression and I completely forgot about it. Oh, fine tuning. Like
Yeah.
the learning experience for the students, and they will be so appreciative of that. They're like, I
Hmm.
actually learned something and I had fun doing it. Yay!
Yeah, exactly. That's
They feel
that is a
so
great
proud
thing.
of
It'll be
themselves.
it can gamify everything, which can be good and bad because, the real world, you can't just gamify your job.
Oh,
But
you can absolutely
well,
gamify
not
a
every
job.
job. Not every. You
Oh,
can if you
obviously.
learn correctly. You can make a game out of anything. Like I have tried to make myself gamify practice. It doesn't work for me. Because I'm like, oh, but what if I just keep doing this until I get faster? I'm like, okay, I did. So now what do I want to do? And I still didn't learn the whole things, but I don't feel like it now. So, and now I just want to go play a game.
It's well, I mean, you gotta, again, you can use AI for this, just to give us,
Exactly.
ideas and how we can form games. And we don't have to keep doing the same game over and over, say for like
Right.
to to increase the motivation to practice,
Hmm.
right? We can do apply different games for the recall. Um, and this also applies to studying in general too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This is something now I will say for music teachers. It's why most countries, not the U.S., but most countries have a kind of have systems of exams that musicians take, whether it be Trinity, ABRSM,
I know
RCM.
Trinity. Yeah.
They're all different. I like ABRSM best just because of the oral tests are better. A
Mm-hmm.
little bit. Not. I mean, they're similar. I have issues with some Trinity oral exams, but they what I feel like that does is that is speaking of gamifying something, it's the old world way of gamifying something by saying, okay, there's this exam, and when you take it, you get a score, and you pass or fail, and then in the passing, you have three different levels of passing in
Mm.
ABRSM, which just makes it go. I mean, kids are just like, ooh, I have to pass with distinction. That's going to be cool to say that I passed grade whatever with distinction, whether it be theory or piano or singing or whatever. And I feel like it works. Now, it's not that there are plenty of great American musicians. Why? Because that doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah. It's
That's
not
the
a
issue.
one size fits all type of thing.
Yeah, that's the problem with it. And the reason that's good I grew up in this country and not in England, because I would probably be a math teacher right now if I grew up in England with music. I'd have been like, I would have got to grade 5 and gone, you know what? Yeah, I'm pretty good at this, but and I like the exams and I like the playing part of the exams, but some parts of it I know that kid me would have been like not super thrilled with it.
But that's like the culture of teaching. I mean, it's different from like the
Yeah.
culture of how we teach here in the US, and how it's different, how there's a different culture in teaching, like say in Guatemala or in Japan.
Oh yeah.
So, and again, and this is why I go back to, I'm about, promoting like AI, because culture, we have to subconsciously, we also as educators need to know how or be aware of the different culture styles when it comes to educating someone, especially in how we deliver our explanations and our
Mhm.
mannerisms and stuff like that. But that's a whole other conversation. But
Yeah.
with AI, that's something that we can learn. But quickly, because I actually do have
Me
a
too.
class. um, but quickly, I do want to talk about just some challenges and considerations when integrating AI into education. One concern is, of course, data privacy, and this is also why knowing about blockchain is comes in handy. With AI systems collecting and analyzing student data, we want to make sure we're not putting student ID numbers or their names, any personal information, and whether we don't want to do that anyways. I'm just saying. Um, because we do not, specifically when speaking in regards to AI, we do not want to inadvertently reinforce biases.
Right.
And it's important that AI systems are developed and monitored with fairness in mind. And I know how that sounds like, but it's AI. We how can we
If AI is programmed by humans, AI does not come up
exactly.
with its own ideas by itself
Mm-hmm.
yet. A true artificial intelligence will. A true artificial intelligence doesn't actually exist yet.
iRobot.
It will as soon as the AIs can create new AIs, then those will be true artificial intelligence, but they still are biased because the originals were created by humans. So there is a bias involved. So we have to try very hard not to have biases and utilize the ones that don't have biases and utilize the ones that will help people who need something else, that didn't grow up in the same situation that I did, that needs that extra help to understand things better.
Yeah. So, before we end today, I just really want to emphasize to the educators out there, whether you guys are a tutor, if you are a trainer, if you're a classroom teacher, if you just work in education, or in education in a work environment, because when we're talking about EdTech Cafe, please know that whenever we're talking about education, it's not specifically for schools. We apply education to everything, but I digress. What I want to get across is that we cannot overlook the need for quote unquote teacher training, or, yeah, teacher training
Yeah.
for AI to be effective educators. And we need to understand how to use these tools and to interpret the data that
Yeah.
AI provides. It's a
And
partnership between technology and teaching. AI is a tool, but it's up to us educators to use it effectively. So get your head out of, your ignorant hats, and let's adapt to
and try it
change.
out. Get on ChatGPT, type some silly stuff in there.
Exactly.
Just start using it. Ask it how to use itself.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, if you don't know how to use AI, guess where the best place to ask is? The AI itself.
Yeah. And
It's
if
gonna
you
know
guys use
better.
Siri or Google
Yeah,
or
same
the
thing.
Echo, you're using a variation of AI already. If
Mhm.
you search things on Google, Amazon, um, if you are acknowledging information or receiving information from like recommendation lists, that's a variation of AI already. You are already utilizing it. We're just
Yep.
utilizing it now in a different sector of your life.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So,
And and on the Google phones, although there's a new Google phone coming out in a few days, even though they told us it wouldn't come out till next year, which is why I bought the Google 8 phone, which makes me upset, but it's okay. I'll get over it because the phone's awesome anyway. Is if I use the Google Assistant, it is actually using Gemini because you can choose to use original Google Assistant or Gemini. And I told it to use Gemini.
Gemini, there you go.
You still say Google. You don't say, you can change it and tell it, you can call it whatever you want, but
All right.
within Rio. So, yes, thank you all.
Thank you guys for joining us today, and let us know, how do you utilize AI in your lives? And don't forget to
Right.
subscribe, like, follow all the social media things is going to help us out. And
Mhm.
until Thursday, actually, back on schedule.
Yes, Thursday.
Um, we'll see you guys in the next podcast. All
Thanks.
right.
See you all.